So, you mentioned about the mirroring of the twin flames, the entanglement. So, what kind of traits or how to really like recognize I will have a twin flame, or is this my twin flame?
Yeah, so you start to pay closer attention and know that synchronicities are going to happen. And because you're looking for them, like I said earlier, you're paying attention, you're noticing more, and you start to realize the little things that are happening in your life. What I could do is give examples of different individuals I've worked with within my coaching business that have come to me for twin flame experiences. Now, one thing to know with twin flames is you usually share the same wounds. So like I had back pain, he had a back pain, had something that happened to his back. And that's simply said right there. I have one woman that came to me and she was not in union with her twin flame, but she knew who he was. And she hadn't talked to him for like 20 years. And yet one night she woke up in excruciating pain in her foot in the middle of the night. And the next day she was talking to her girlfriend on the phone who knew her twin flame. And it came up and she just said, "Hey, how is he doing?" And she said, "Oh, well, yesterday he had foot surgery." And she said, "What? He had foot surgery? What foot did he have foot surgery on?" And she told her, and it was the same foot that she woke up with excruciating pain in the middle of the night with. So she felt what was happening to him the same, right around the same time. I had another client who a fun little story about her was she met this guy on a plane and he felt familiar. They started talking and he was flying into the city where she lived, but he didn't live there. And so they got off the plane and they were talking and they just parted ways, but they'd given each other their contact information. And she goes, "Angie, it was weird because I don't give my contact information to people I meet on planes, but I felt like I could with him." And he said he was going to be in town for a couple of weeks. So she said that he had mentioned that he was doing some dinosaur exhibit. And so the next day she goes to work and she's sitting at work and looks out the window and there is a bus in the parking lot that has a big dinosaur thing on it. And she thought, well, that's so weird. He just told me yesterday that that he was here for a dinosaur exhibit. So because she had his contact information, she texted him and said, "This is going to sound really weird, but do you have any involvement with this dinosaur company?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's the company I'm in town working with." And she said, "Are you staying at this hotel?" Because there was a hotel like right out in the parking lot, area. And he said, "Yeah, that's where I'm staying. How do you know?" And she said, "Well, because I work right next to that hotel." And he said, "Are you kidding me?" And she goes, "No." So they went to lunch because they were right by each other, right next door while she's at work and he's at this hotel. And they went to lunch and dinner a few times. And then she was home one evening and realized that on her bed, she had this little tiny, and she's a grown woman, but she said, "Angie, it's so weird. My little sister had given me this little stuffed animal that was a dinosaur just a few weeks before. And she had it on her bed. And she said, I started realizing, wait, that dinosaur showed up on my bed right before he showed up in my life. And he came in with dinosaurs." And so she started seeing all these synchronicities. And she goes, "You can't make this stuff up, Angie." And I said, "I know, because you could have gotten a stuffed animal that was a cat or a dog or a bird, but you got a dinosaur." And that's where that was like, I shared with her, that was a demonstration that the universe was bringing to her before he was going to show up. Just like my administrative assistant or secretary or whatever had a son named Zeke right before my twin flame showed up. And so we always have a demonstration in our life that will come in from the universe, kind of like a gift that says, "Hey, pay attention, this is coming." And it just sparks your attention and you get kind of curious and you start to kind of watch your life with a little bit more curiosity.
Yeah. Well, this is really good. It's a special perspective to see the whole story. So you can see the prelude or the introduction of the whole chapter of the music, right?
Yes. I love that you call it music, because I use that example all the time with people. I'm like, your life is like a beautiful, like a magical masterpiece of music, a classical masterpiece.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's marvelous,
Right.
So another question is, what's the difference between twin flame and soulmate? I mean, for individuals, we have different experience with different person in different relationships, right? So I think everyone is soulmate. If you meet that person, you have certain relationship, you have some issues or lessons to learn together.
Yes.
So what's the difference?
So I totally agree with you that every relationship that comes into our lives, good, bad, or ugly, like they come to teach us something. And yet some people, so one, I would say the difference is all in the definition you give it, that you assign it. Some people do call twin flame soulmates. So they're just my soulmate. They're my person. And yet, if you really get down to it, so that the reason they got the name of twin flame is because they came in as two impulses or two flames that came to create together, right? So that's where the name twin flame comes from. And yet I personally feel that some soulmates have been like our partners in other lifetimes. And then when we see them in this lifetime, there's a recognition. We just know like, oh, you're special. I know you're someone special to me. And we feel an immediate connection. And I have begun seeing past lives. So I've had an experience of seeing many of my past lives. And there was one gentleman in my life in this lifetime that he and I kept bumping into each other about every 6 to 18 months. We would run into each other for a period of many, many years, a couple decades. And finally, I saw him in a past life and we were married. And I realized, oh my gosh, that's why we're running into each other in this lifetime, because we were partners in another lifetime, and he had died tragically in that lifetime, and it had broken my heart. And every time we would run into each other, well, I shouldn't say every time, but the longer we'd known each other, when he would run into me or I'd run into him, there was a few times he would say, Angie, I feel like I'm at home when I run into you. I feel like I'm home. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, I guess if we were in love and we cared about each other with all of our hearts in another lifetime, that would feel like home. We would recognize something in that other person, a safe space, or, that feeling of coming home. And that's how he would say it. And I didn't understand it until I saw that lifetime and I went, oh my goodness, that's what he's recognizing. He's recognizing a feeling that, and yet there was some synchronicities around that. In that lifetime before, I'd learned that he died in a crash in war. He died in a plane going down. And yet in this lifetime, I found him in a crash. That's how we met. I met him in the mountains. He had just crashed on his motocross bicycle, a dirt bike, and I was in the mountains and I came across him while he was unconscious. And so I'm the one that found him in a crash. And yet in that last lifetime, I had promised, I will not rest until I find you. And so here I am, I found him in a crash, and that started our relationship at age 15. And we kept bumping into each other over and over and over again. So I'm led to believe, because of my own personal experiences, like there is not one relationship that doesn't have significance, and we should treat all those relationships with gratitude and kindness and caring and compassion.
Yeah, that's true. It's like we don't just pursue the romantic part of our life, or for example twin flame, but we should treat every relationship in equal way. They all are meaningful and significant for us, right?
Yeah, because when you really learn what love is, it only expands. We can love everyone. And I would say I love everyone equally, but maybe not in the same way, if that makes sense. I love my husband with all my heart, but I love people. I love the glow in your eyes. Like, I just love humanity. And I haven't always been that way. I had to awaken to that. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, what's the difference between soulmate and your twin flame relationships? How do you feel?
How do I feel? Okay. So it's almost like a recognition. I actually have met a lot of people, and lots of people have come up to me. I've had even strangers in the last few years come up to me. I had one gentleman come up and he just said, I recognized your voice from across the room. I know you from another time and space. And I said, huh. And so I had some recognition with him, but he seemed to recognize me even more than I recognized him. And so I just said, wow, well, that's neat. Like, and I just want to help people feel that I care and that I love them and I see them. It's kind of like that feeling of, I see you, I hear you. And so some of these have developed into friendships. Sometimes it's just, I see them one time or two times. And so some of those I do believe are soul recognitions, that we just are recognizing one another from another experience, another incarnation. And so the feeling for me was, I just couldn't deny that when I saw my husband, I'd never felt that way with anyone else. It was like my whole body was buzzing. I could literally feel like a very slight vibration in me. And so I knew, and I was so intrigued to want to know what that knowing was. And with other people, it's more, it's like a recognition, but I don't feel it like buzzing in my body. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, I try to imagine that.
Yeah.
So that's like if you recognize your twin flame, your body will tell you something different or in a different way.
Yeah, kind of like, when your body tells you, even if you listen to it closely, when you're thinking about like eating something and you kind of get repulsed by it, it's like, maybe you might be allergic to it. Maybe you shouldn't put that in your mouth. Maybe it's that kind of thing as well, that your body's always talking to you. Yeah. I met, earlier today, we had a couple over for lunch, and this couple, they had just met a few months ago and one of them's a dear friend of mine, and he wanted to introduce us to his girlfriend. And they were talking about how they met. And he goes, if I don't know any better, I would say she's probably my twin flame. And they were talking about it. And it was how she described it that I started to go, okay, yeah, they're probably twin flames, because she said that when she first saw him, she could have sworn she'd already met him. And he's like, no, I don't think we've met. And she goes, but why are you so familiar? I feel like you're so familiar. And so they went on, and she said, I just couldn't get it out of my mind. There was something about him that I knew, and I knew that I knew it all the way, deep within me. And so that's what I kind of say, but people will come up to me and say, will you just tell me if this person's my twin flame, or will you just tell me who my twin flame is? And I say, no, you will know who your twin flame is. I'm not going to tell you, even if I wondered. Even if I thought I knew, I'm not going to tell other people. They have to come to know it for themselves. That's really what happens.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Because actually we should find our inner authority for ourselves, but not looking for answers from others, right?
Right. Yeah. Because all the answers are inside of us. And I do like how you say inner authority, because that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really it's really beautiful. This is the first time I talk to someone who has this real life twin flame experience, because I used to take this twin flame story as legendary or fairy tales. Mm-hmm. Yeah. First I feel so close to this the essence.
Yeah, well, and think about it this way, Lynn. If there's an experience that we want to have that we're not having, we have to understand it's probably outside of our field of awareness. In other words, outside of our belief system.
Yeah.
We first have to believe. It's kind of like Napoleon Hill says, believe or conceive, believe, achieve. If you can't conceive of an idea and have it be real, then you'll never experience it until you can believe it. So, I feel like part of my purpose truly is to share the light the awareness around this experience, that it's real, that you can have one, and that you first though will have to believe it. And so because I was studying quantum entanglement before I met my husband, it was actually quantum entanglement that took me into looking at twin flames. So I was studying quantum entanglement, and it drew me into twin flames, and I was studying it. Because I was studying it, I was thinking about it more. And because I was thinking about it more, I was starting to wonder, the wheels got turning, and I'm like, could this really be a thing? Maybe that's real, instead of just, like you said, magical, mystical.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm sitting there on that date going, what is happening? This is so weird. Oh my goodness. And so you have to bring it into your field of awareness before you're going to have that experience.
Yeah, that's true, right? It's like Bob said, everything you are looking for is already existed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once you are aware of that, you can attract that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so last question. Well, now
okay.
I see 11:11 on my computer.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it is. It's 11:11 at your house. That's right. Awesome.
Yeah. Last question. So you mentioned about the higher conscious love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's when we are talking about how to love ourselves, how to raise our frequency, raise our vibrations. This is related to this higher conscious love. No matter who is the one you are going to love, is yourself or your partners, your families, right? So. Yeah. I know you are providing some coaching programs for clients about this part, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, can you give us some simple steps or some methods about how to raise our vibrations to this higher conscious love, or what kind of techniques or kind of methods you are coaching or you are sharing with your clients?
Yeah. So one of them is the sooner that we can remove judgment. Judgment is what constricts us and closes us off from the flow of life force energy. If we can let go of our judgments, because however we judge something is how we will experience it. So, if you have a judgment, you're not going to be able to experience it any differently. If you judge a person, that's how you're going to see them. If you judge a location, that's how you're going to experience it. But if you can just observe instead of judge, then you'll allow the flow of energy, and that actually raises your vibration, because then you're not keeping experiences from yourself. So judgment is one of those things, and it's been being taught by sages since the beginning of time, but it really is a truth that how we judge something is how we experience it. I also share with individuals that you cannot experience what you're not aware of. And so you have to allow yourself to realize that you also can't experience what you're not in vibration with. So that's the whole idea of law of attraction, or law of vibration, that we attract to us what we are in vibration with. And so some people say, well, what do you mean, Angie? And I'm like, well, if you want to experience something you're not experiencing right now, expand your awareness, expand your vibration. And so another way to say that is get outside of your boxes, and change is a great way to do that. Change things up. I've moved all over the United States many times, and every time I changed, I had to rewire my brain, because all those neural pathways change. The neural pathways are your habits. Habits are as small as how many steps you take from your bed to the bathroom in the morning, or, and so if you move, all of a sudden your bed's in a new location. It might be 10 steps from the bathroom instead of 3 steps from the bathroom. And so all of a sudden you're rewiring everything. So the more you can change, if you drive to a place of work every day, try a different route, often take a different route. It gives you change, and you're looking for new things. You're pulling in new experiences, just try new things, and you'll start to experience a more broad spectrum of what life has to offer you.
Yeah. I love this one. It's really, easy to apply.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really not that hard and difficult, but we don't think about those things. It just shows us how much we get into our habits.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let go of the habit of judgment, right?
Right.
One. And second one is try to make some change in your life. Small things, big things, it's okay.
Yeah. And then the last one I would say is what I mentioned earlier: make it a habit to study yourself with an outside observer's view, because that one's probably been my greatest friend. That's the one that I've learned the most from, is without judgment, without judging myself, but contemplating, well, why did I just do that? Why did I just say that? Where did that come from? And being able, that's how I found all the synchronicities I had with my mom and all the patterns I was repeating. And in order to find where my back pain came from and all of those things, was by just kind of observing myself. And it started by one day I said something exactly how my mom would say it, and it caught me. And I went, wow, I sound just like my mom, but I'm not my mom, but I sound just like my mom. And it made me start to think, well, where did that come from? Why did I say that? And then that's those kinds of things that bring you into a higher state of awareness as well.
Yeah. I love these tips. It's really, I can really resonate with those steps. This is how I after I studied myself and I started to learn how to let go of the judgment of myself. When I stopped judging myself, I could stop judging others. That's like amazing.
Right. Yeah.
And after that, it's easy to make some changes in your life, because you let go of the burdens or the fears, so you are more brave or more courage to make some change.